When America needed courage, he did not wait for applause, he did not wait for permission, and he did not wait for someone else to step forward. He chose responsibility. There are moments in history when a nation holds its breath, moments when fear is louder than hope, moments when people look around and silently ask, who will stand up? In those moments, character is revealed. This is the story of a man who understood that leadership is not about power. It is about duty. It is not about popularity. It is about principle. And when the weight of an entire nation pressed down on his shoulders, he did not bend. He stood taller. In the darkest days of the Great Depression, millions of Americans were out of work. Banks were collapsing. Families were losing their homes. Hope was fading from the American spirit. It felt like the future had been stolen. That was when Franklin D. Roosevelt stepped forward. He did not inherit a perfect country. He inherited a crisis. When he took office in 1933, the economy was shattered. People were scared. Investors had lost confidence. Ordinary citizens were lining up at banks, praying their savings would not disappear. On his first day, he could have played it safe. He could have blamed the previous administration. He could have delivered empty promises. Instead, he chose responsibility. In his first inaugural address, he spoke words that still echo through American history. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. That was not just a sentence. It was a decision. He understood that before you fix an economy, you must restore belief. Before you rebuild institutions, you must rebuild confidence. Courage is contagious, but so is fear. Roosevelt chose courage. Within his first 100 days, he pushed through sweeping reforms. P. He created jobs programs. P. He stabilized banks. He launched initiatives that would later be known as the New Deal. The New Deal was not perfect. It was controversial. P. It was criticized, but it was action. Responsibility is rarely comfortable. Leadership is rarely clean. When you take responsibility, you invite criticism. But he did not retreat. He communicated directly with the American people through his famous fireside chats. He spoke in simple language. He explained complex policies. He treated citizens like partners, not spectators. And something powerful happened. Trust began to return. People felt heard. People felt seen. People felt like their president understood their pain. Responsibility is not just about making decisions. It is about owning the consequences. Then came another storm. World War II. The world was on fire. Spreading. The attack on Pearl Harbor shocked the nation. America was pulled into a global conflict. Once again, fear could have paralyzed the country. Division could have weakened it. Uncertainty could have broken it. But Roosevelt did not hesitate. He addressed Congress and called December 7th a date which will live in infamy. He asked for a declaration of war, and he carried the weight of leading a nation through the largest war in human history. He coordinated with leaders like Winston Churchill. He worked alongside Joseph Stalin. Despite deep ideological differences, he helped shape a global strategy to defeat fascism. That is responsibility. Responsibility is not choosing easy allies, it is choosing necessary ones. Responsibility is not avoiding hard conversations, it is facing them head-on. And while the war raged overseas, Roosevelt was fighting another battle at home. Polio. Years earlier, the disease had left him unable to walk unaided. In a time when physical strength was seen as a symbol of leadership, he could have withdrawn from public life. Instead, he refused to let his disability define his destiny. He trained his upper body. He learned to stand with support. He projected strength, even when he endured private pain. That is not image management. That is resilience. America did not need a perfect man. It needed a committed one. And he chose to commit fully. Under his leadership, the United States transformed into the arsenal of democracy. Factories roared back to life. Women entered the workforce in massive numbers. Innovation accelerated. Production soared. Responsibility creates momentum. When a leader steps up, others follow. Soldiers crossed oceans. Families rationed goods. Communities bonded together. The cost was enormous. Were lost. Sacrifices were made. But by the end of the war, freedom stood stronger. Roosevelt did not live to see the final victory, but he laid the foundation for it. He also helped envision a post-war world built on cooperation rather than chaos. An idea that would eventually lead to the creation of the United Nations. Responsibility is thinking beyond your term, beyond your comfort, beyond your lifetime. Now here is the deeper lesson. Most of us will never lead a nation. Most of us will never address Congress. Most of us will never guide a country through war. But every single one of us will face moments when courage is required. Moments in your family, moments in your career, moments in your community, moments when it would be easier to stay silent, to step back, to let someone else take the risk. That is when character speaks. Responsibility is not about position, it is about choice. You can choose responsibility in your business. When your team is struggling and morale is low, you step up. You can choose responsibility in your family. When finances are tight and tension is high, you stay steady. You can choose responsibility in your personal life. When the stakes are made, you own them. Blame is easy. Excuses are easy. Avoidance is easy. Responsibility is hard, but responsibility builds trust. Responsibility builds strength. Responsibility builds legacy. Roosevelt once said that freedom is not a gift bestowed by one generation upon another. It must be earned and defended. That applies to your dreams as well. Success is not gifted. Confidence is not gifted. Impact is not gifted. They are earned through responsibility. Think about your own life right now. Where is America in your story? Where is the crisis, the fear, and more importantly, will you choose responsibility when your goals feel impossible? When your plans fall apart? When the pressure rises, will you step forward? The truth is, courage does not always feel heroic. Sometimes it feels heavy. Sometimes it feels lonely. Sometimes it feels terrifying. But that weight is the price of growth. Roosevelt faced criticism from opponents. He faced doubt from citizens. He faced enormous pressure from global events. Yet he moved forward. Not because he was fearless, but because he understood that leadership demands responsibility. And here is the final truth. History does not remember those who waited. It remembers those who acted. Your family will not remember every word you say, but they will remember whether you showed up. Your team will not remember every strategy, but they will remember whether you stood firm. Your children will not remember every success, but they will remember your example. When America needed courage, he chose responsibility. When your moment comes, choose responsibility. Choose action over fear. Choose discipline over comfort. Choose integrity over popularity. Because one day someone will look back at your life, at your decisions, at your leadership, and they will say, when it mattered most, he did not run, he did not hide, he did not blame. He chose responsibility. And that choice changed everything.